Hello and welcome back to Fist Entertainment. This time for my review of 2018's Black Panther. Alright. Now, before I start talking about this movie, let me make this very, very clear. I have nothing against African culture movies. Nothing. In fact, I actually like African culture movies. When I grew up, I watched Roots with my father and learned about Black history. There's lots of Black movies out about Black history that I do like, as well as Africa. Lots of them. I have no problem watching an African cultured movie. That said, this is supposed to be a comic book movie. Not an African culture movie. And it's not much of a comic book movie here. It's really more about the African culture. It's literally they made an African culture movie and mixed it with a comic book movie. But spent more time on making an African culture movie than a comic book movie. That said, it's not like it's completely a boring movie in that regard. But there's just not enough action in this movie. It's not as much of a comic book movie. It's really more about a film made for people from Africa. It's really what it feels like. That said, I don't hate this movie. I just find it very disappointing compared to all the films that came before it, which were completely action-packed, followed comic book storylines completely well, and was exciting from beginning to end. But as good as this movie is, I can't say that about this film. This film is so much about African culture this, African culture that. And it just makes it not as satisfying to watch. But the action sequences in this movie are very good. When there is action in this movie, is correct, very good. I do like the action. I do like the fact that the Black Panther uses a lot of martial arts in this movie. And it kind of tells you what the Black Panther is. The Black Panther is actually like this this African spirit that inherits royal blood or something like that, and gives you these supernatural powers. So it's kind of interesting. And of course, I do kind of like the villain, but I also at the same point hate the villain. And this is where it gets there. And I'll spend as little time as possible explaining this. That way, I don't come across as like bad on here and get shut down. But I have said it before. I will say it again, and I'll do it politely. Hollywood. Racial themes do not belong in movies. I'll say it again. Racial themes do not belong in movies. Now, I do understand that our main hero is not racist. But you cannot ignore the racism in this movie when the villain of the movie tries to kill our hero to take the throne and become the new Black Panther because he wants to liberate black people by killing white people. Okay? That's right, plain in your face, racism. Racism does not belong in movies. Racism is a poison that is all over the place and is pulling America and people apart. That needs to be eradicated and removed. Removed from educating our children. Removed from old people. Removed, period. Once we get rid of racism, the world will repair itself a whole lot quicker. But the last place that I want to see racism is in a movie. And why am I taking a little bit more than just 1 minute talking about this? Is because this is a comic book movie. These films are designed for children to watch. Okay? Your 5-year-old child is going to go to movie theaters and watch a movie. Do you really want to teach them to hate white people when they're 5 years old? That is just plain evil, Hollywood. But, that said, I don't hate this movie. Like I said, there's a lot of good action in this movie. I especially do like the main character, our hero, Black Panther. He does a great job. I also kind of like the supporting cast, like Martin Freeman's character, who we saw a little bit in Captain America Civil War. Has a lot more to do in this movie. I also do like the sort of like this is like a good reference, I guess, as best I can put. Sort of like these black like Xena warrior princesses that actually protect our hero. They're cool. I love them. I am very happy that the main one does play a good part in Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War, and that she's a syndical part in Endgame, although I haven't seen Endgame yet. But I do like that character, and I also do like all the other black characters in the movie that are working with our main hero. Like I do like his sister being sort of like a a scientist who has like these cool gadgets that she gives him to work with, and it's really smart and stuff like that. His mom was very brilliantly played by Angela Bassett, which I thought was really, really well done. Alright, well, the plot of the movie is a really quick one to actually explain, which is part of the problem with this movie, is the fact that I can tell you about the plot in less than 5 minutes, detail to detail. I could probably do it in 3, which is what I'm going to do. And it's really not that hard to do. With the death of his father, the young Wakanda priest, why the hell did I say that? The son, so in other words, the prince of Wakanda, is about to take the throne. When he takes the throne, opposing forces try to take the throne away from him, and he finds out that his father did evil acts and exiled a rightful heir to the throne. Well, the rightful heir, played by Michael B. Jordan, grows up to become a very evil person who hates the world. And he joined the military, and he became a special forces operative. And they actually have a fancy name for him. I kind of forget the name of it, of this character, but he had killed so many people for the United States government that he actually, in the African traditional way, cuts a tattoo in his skin every single time that he kills somebody. And his entire body is full of this. So he's killed like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people for the government. And of course, I would say technically, in a lot of ways, he kills our hero. But keep in mind there are supernatural elements in this movie. So our hero gets revived through spiritual and supernatural means, and then takes his place back. In the end, of course, our villain does end up dead, but at least I do like the fact that our main hero is such a passionate and positive person that he kind of liberated him at the same time, is actually having to kill him at the same time. Even let me say that to have his dying last breaths to actually watch the sun rise in Wakanda, which really was a beautiful scene to see. Now, is this movie actually worth an Oscar nomination? My opinion on that is neutral. I don't think it's worth an Oscar nomination, but when you take a look at the acting in the movie, you take a look at the visuals in the film, I would say, yeah, it is. But if I were part of the committee that nominates movies for Oscars, would I have nominated Black Panther for one? No. I wouldn't. It takes a lot more than great acting and beautiful cinematography and visual effects for a movie to end up in Oscars. Especially the Oscars that this movie was nominated for. But it is a good movie. It just has no place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It feels like a African culture movie. And like I said, racism in movies really pisses me off. But it pisses me off even more now that they're putting it in children's movies. Because although Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are PG-13, you have parents taking their 5-year-old child to watch the new Marvel movie. So it is disgusting that you're putting racial themes in movies that children are going to watch on the big screen. And I'm sorry I spent too much time on that, but I'm trying to be part of the solution here. I'm not trying to add to the problem. But I do stand somewhat in defense of Black Panther, but I can also understand why a lot of people do not like this movie. But on that one of them, I am unbiased. I see the positive and the negative in the movie. So I can't hate this movie, but I can't 100% love this movie. But at least I'm honest. That's what everybody comes on this channel for, is to see an honest person who does not lie, who does not take side streets, does not agree with the status quo, that reviews a movie in true, unbiased means. And I will continue to do that. I will stand by that. Well, audio and video quality. The video quality is good in this movie. It does have a lot more of a warmer digital look than, say, Captain America Civil War, but there's a lot of good, beautiful cinematography in this movie. It plays really well with the color temperatures of the film. A very good transfer, too. Audio. Alright, people. The audio is there. Alright, you can definitely hear the 7 effects going on. But whoever did the post-production on this movie turned the dB levels, dramatic blast levels, what gives you your intensity in the movies. You have the option of turning all this down yourself for what's known as dramatic range control for night viewing. But it should be a choice. Okay, it should be a choice to you, the person who watches the movie, to do that. The choice should not be made for you, and that's why it kind of feels like with this movie. It kind of feels like in post-production they deliberately turn the dB levels down dramatically to where it just softens out and takes all of the dramatic intensity out of the sound. I think that's the best way to describe it. This is not the only film they did this with. They have done this with at least 2 to 3 of these Marvel movies. It's like a new Walt Disney thing. And I said there would be some films like that in these. Much earlier in the month I told you that would happen. Well, this is the first one that does kind of happen in. At least it's very limited down, but it's there. And so the sound is a little bit disappointing. At least you do have the 7.1 surround effects there. It's so lower than the intensity of the sound. Because it's almost like you turn the DRC on when you were doing a post-production of the film or something. So that's kind of sad and disappointing. But that's pretty much my views on Black Panther. Visually stunning movie, well acted, but things that are inappropriate for children are in this movie. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie. It feels like an African culture movie. And like I said, I love African culture films, and so that didn't bug me that much. I still enjoyed this movie. I just feel let down. It was more of an African culture movie in a film that our main villain of the film is racist and wants to kill white people. I mean, it's just something that doesn't belong in a movie. But that's my views on 2018's Black Panther. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you guys next time for my review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Until then.